All right, so we've got Tom DeHunt here from SUSE, one of our new members and sponsor for the user group meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. It's already noon, so thank you for being here. My name is Tom DeHunt. I'm sales engineer for SUSE for Belgium and Netherlands. I have a strong focus on SAF, also everything related to SAP, but that's not really the case today. So who knows what SUSE is doing without maybe showing this slide? Can I show hands? How many people know SUSE? Okay, cool. So you know we're doing great things with open source and we try to support communities. So it's really cool. So you see some communities up there. You see indeed SAF. This is something I will talk about in a few minutes. We create, regarding those open source communities, we create projects, and these projects then turn into indeed things you can buy from SUSE, buy with support to have indeed supported operating system and supported options. So if you look at SUSE, SUSE is worldwide represented, and we have a very strong focus in Europe, which means of course more offices in Europe as well. But we try to conquer the world with our little green chameleons, so probably you have seen them in the registration booth as well. So I'm very proud to announce that we are part of a consortium, which was me shaking the tree really hard at SUSE and making sure that people are listening, that there's a need for supporting these kind of things and really integrating SAF and integrating open source more into communities like this. So I'm really proud that we can announce this, that we are part of the consortium right now. Now, another proud announcement I have to make, a day later, we announced version 6 of SUSE Enterprise Storage, which is based on SAF Nautilus. So maybe who knows what SAF does, what SAF is doing, trying to achieve? A little less hands, okay, cool. So if we see about SAF, SAF is trying to provide storage in your entire infrastructure. If you see your storage tiers, probably 80% of that storage is residing in the lower tiers, in tier 2 and 3 storage. So that means we're providing means of storing data in those tiers. Now, in normal situations, you buy hardware, and that hardware has to be translated into new hardware in 3 to 5 years because the hardware has been written off. And of course, it means buying a newer and a bigger box, so we have to do a storage migration. Most of the time, it's a lot of stress for consultant parties, but also for the end customer. So that's why we really had a look to SAF and how we can support this. SAF is providing interface into the file, into block, but also into object. That means that you have a lot of flexibility, and all those things are indeed concised on SAF. Currently SAF Luminous, SAF Nautilus, sorry, and this will be translated into a product with us, and that is called SUSE Enterprise Storage. Now we have a roadmap. I will not go into much detail, but the important thing is to show you we have a roadmap. If you see, we currently support version 6. So this is very recently been released on SAF Nautilus, and we base this on SUSE Linux Enterprise Server version 15, Service Pack 1. And it's very important to know that we are working with service packs. That means we can introduce new kernel features, but also newest kernels very recently. So we'll highlight this in a bit. Things we highlight in the newest version is quality of service, but also, of course, new things in SAF Nautilus. And I think personally for me, one of the coolest features I think in Nautilus is PG autoscaling. So if you have worked with SAF, you architect your placement groups between 100 and 300 placement groups on one disk. Once you grow more disks, it will become a hassle, and it's not always easy to keep track of those. PG autoscaling is one of my personal favorite in SAF Nautilus. Of course, we have also a roadmap for a dashboard because we try to provide you with means and tools, so it's very easy for you to use day-to-day management. That means that we have OpenAttic, and OpenAttic is a graphical user interface to manage SAF. The very cool thing is we bought OpenAttic as a company. We made OpenAttic open source again, so we provide those code upstream. Now the SAF community has adopted OpenAttic. So the cool thing is that our product, which is then actually based from SUSE, is now being integrated by SAF natively. So the SAF dashboard is actually OpenAttic underneath. Very cool to tell you here. If you look at the service packs that we currently have, this is also really cool that we can drive performance. That means Currently we're driving a kernel 4.12, which is based on Ceph Nautilus. The cool thing here, newest instruction sets, we provide indeed support for different type of hardware. And for Ceph natively, we can turn this on x86, but also on ARM CPUs. So if you have new and nifty hardware, cool thing to really work with this. If you look at Ceph, Ceph has many interfaces, various options that you have. Of course, what you see in the interface of object, this is probably why you have your link with iRods. And at this point, we have two certified or working ways we have currently, which is Rados, librados, and S3. So really to integrate with your object interface to Ceph. Of course, maybe I heard just about NFS rods. So things are moving along, and this is really very cool that we can be part of a consortium, so we can be very early in this stage to work closely together to make sure we're able to drive different other user types, but also different type of applications to make sure you have a very rigid storage infrastructure. A lot of lines, and a lot of lines to come, I think, for iRods as well. So some use case with iRods that we are currently seeing in the market. So first one is storage tiering. Ceph is actually a very cheap kind of storage where you can store lots of petabytes with a very low cost. And the cool thing here is you can indeed use Ceph as one of the archive tiers and really move your working set of data with iRods to that archive tier with ease, because this is why you're using iRods. Moving back and forward. Now, of course, Ceph is very versatile. So if you have very fast hardware with NVMe drives, 100 gig Ethernet and such, you can also drive performance. Of course, that might be something in the scale that you probably currently have. So you have possibilities to either do it in an all-way fashion or in a tiered architecture. Now you can also consolidate your data, which is really making sure you have a single namespace provided by iRods, and indeed making sure that Ceph can be part of this to really store the data very cheaply. Now, I think the main thing what SUSE is trying to achieve together with you is trying to adapt to your needs, to really making sure that if we make calculations for Ceph, because we sell free software, which is a bit strange, we have support, we have subscriptions. That means if you run into issues, you can call SUSE. We have consultants. We can help you with 24/7 support. But nevertheless, we try to make sure that we have calculations also together with hardware vendors. And I think one of my colleagues from Dell is here as well. Jaco? No? He was here yesterday. So we make calculations in various types to make sure we have the lowest TCO, total cost of ownership, for day one operations, but also for future expansions. So, and it's very open source in that way as well. So you see what the subscriptions are from SUSE, and we have a policy that the subscriptions are per node basis. So we don't calculate per capacity or disks or whatever. If you have a storage server with 5 disks, 10 disks or 24 disks, the same kind of subscription. So very, very easy for you to add more hardware to the future and know what the cost is for this one. We calculate different types. So we have redundant copies. We can do erasure coding. We can do single site, multi-site. We can go way down more than 10 minutes that I have currently. So if you would like to brainstorm about some things you have in mind, about use case you have, or maybe something we can achieve together, come and find us. We're just here. And otherwise, I'm based in Belgium. I travel a lot to Netherlands as well. So come and find us. So I think the message for today as well, we are hosting, not really hosting by ourselves, but we are doing Ceph Days in Netherlands, which is next week, already very soon, next week Tuesday. It's a free event, but we ask you to register because we like to know how many beers we should put in the fridge. So I think that would be my 10 minutes. I don't have a clock, but we try to adapt for you to succeed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If anyone has a question, you could ask it now, or you could find him in the next 20 minutes outside. Anyone? All right.
Do not
Thank
forget
you.
to grab your chameleon. So.
That's right.
Thank you.
So we have 20 minutes, and see you back We'll start at the hour. Let's try and do that to be fair to all of our presenters.